Hey folks, it's Steve Jacobs, your intrepid trainer, consultant, and coach here in Dublin. And yes, what you're looking at out there is Dublin Airport. When I travel, one of the best things is actually meeting the people and actually experiencing the culture in different countries. And actually, the culture is a really nice link to what we want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is actually being ready to handle audits and inspections for pharmaceutical and biotech companies. The culture really makes all the difference with regards to how well you can handle these. For instance, here in Ireland, the folks are very nice, very collaborative, and just a pleasure to be around. But don't let that fool you. First off, it took a while to get here, and there's always upsides and there's downsides. One of the interesting upsides is that the culture here is very hierarchical. Deference is given to the boss. The other thing is that they're very nice. They always say hello and they're very polite, but don't think that that's an invitation to go ahead and join them when you're actually in a pub. You really have to slowly but surely work your way into their circle of friends, and that takes time and certainly a great deal of patience. The other thing actually translates well to the challenges we have in the culture of our companies. In the pharma and biotech world, one of the interesting things is, what is your culture of quality? What is your culture of collaboration? For instance, in most of the companies that I go into, the SOPs are written by the wrong folks. Who should the SOPs be written by? If your answer was the operators, then you're absolutely correct. Yet for some reason that I have not been able to figure out, in many cases the SOPs are actually written by supervisors. And then everyone wonders why, when the auditors and inspectors come on in, the operators aren't actually always following the SOPs the way they need to. That actually brings us to making sure that you have the right foundation in anything that you do. And when we talk about the right foundation, there's a couple of key things that you have to do with regards to actually building a good quality system. And in this situation, the first one is you certainly want to get the right people in the right seats. That means you really need to find the folks that are going to be excellent at whatever job you give them. You need to make sure that they actually have good roles and responsibilities, that it's been explained to them, that their expected outcomes are clear, and most importantly, they need to know the why of what they're doing. Once they know the why, everything else actually falls into place. Onboarding procedures can really help in this situation. So if you have a good onboarding procedure, that's really, really good. And part of your onboarding procedure should not be handing someone 70 SOPs and saying, go ahead and read these and sign off on every single one of them that you've read and understood them. That's not a good situation. And a lot of folks, you will find, will sign off on them, but they really don't understand the SOPs, and that's a challenge. So once you have the right people in place, the next most important thing is, are your processes good? Are they efficient? Have they been thought through? Did you really check them to make sure that they work and that they are really as non-wasteful as humanly possible? So now you start to get into the concept of Lean and Six Sigma. And we're not going to go there for this video. The last thing is, of course, how about your procedures? And that's when we talk about the SOPs. Now, we already talked about the fact that you don't want to have somebody sign a boatload of them, but what's really important is that these procedures should actually really connect with your folks, especially the folks that are actually doing the procedures themselves. And in that situation, what that means is that, are your SOPs all written? Are they all made up of words? Well, if the answer is yes, then you may already have a challenge. The reality is, most of us actually learn by pictures or by seeing somebody else do it. That's the best way to train most people. The next way, of course, is to go ahead and have them actually do the procedure in front of somebody else, a good coach, that can go ahead and actually show them, make sure that they're doing the right thing, and make sure that they're actually following the SOP. So to that point, let me ask you a question. Are your SOPs all words? Or do they have some pictures? Are the pictures large enough? Are the pictures in color? Are the pictures actually pictures of process flows? Are they pictures of pieces of equipment? And literally, do the pieces of equipment have all of the parts marked so that people can actually understand what is what and why everything operates the way it does. And you're going to hear me talk about the whys consistently in most of these videos because many of us forget to actually tell our colleagues, our peers, and the folks that work for us why they're doing what they're doing. And that'll take us to a whole new subject later on when we talk about what motivates our people, how to get them to do the most important thing, which is to go ahead and execute with the highest quality and with the expectation that what they do goes to people just like us, loved ones, friends, family. And once again, once they understand how important what they do is, that's going to be really, really important. And finally, with regards to this culture piece, let's talk about the culture of the auditors and inspectors that you meet all around the world. Well, the FDA in the U.S. has one specific culture, and the good news is that culture's changing. The one specific culture they have has traditionally been one where they came on in, they took a look at all the documentation. Let me see your batch records. Let me see your training records. Let me see your SOPs. And then what they do is they'd wander on out and they'd actually take a look at the facility. And they really didn't talk to the people that much. And to be fair to them, the companies that they came to actually audit and inspect kind of hid their people away, or at least went ahead and made sure that only the right people had the chance to talk to them. Whereas the folks in Europe and many other places throughout the world actually really focus on the people. Do the people understand the procedures? And what that means is, yes, they'll look at the same documentation, but they'll spend 70 to 80% of their time actually talking to the people on the floor, actually talking to the folks that do the work. And in some cases, they'll even ask the supervisors and management to leave so they can actually talk to them personally and find out if what they are doing is what they're supposed to be doing. So, speaking from Ireland and keeping culture in mind and keeping quality in mind, this is Steve Jacobs signing out.